I always like this little paradox where you're right in the fine limit between what is playful and actually the act of what you're doing is actually an act that mimics all around the world that kills a lot of people, kind of thing. Huh. And you know what? I got there with I got so much ink. I was like, this is going to be so much fun. I'm going to videotape it and all that. Mm-hmm. It was like 5 minutes. People went so crazy on it. I had no time to record it. They completely lost the idea that they were shooting at a deer. They were just killing it. Little kids, old people, young people.
Oh my God.
Hello.
All right. Hey, guys, this is Waiting to Dry. I'm Josh Lawyer.
I'm Sergio Lopez.
And today we have Melanie Alves.
Hola.
Did I pronounce
Hello.
the last name right?
We actually say Alves.
Oh,
really?
But because no one can say it, I always say Alves.
I'll try. I'll give it a try. Alves.
Alves.
Boom. Did I know that?
Yeah, you did pretty good. I'm impressed.
Hell yeah. So me and you, we go pretty far back to, I think I met you first at Wonderland. At least, wait, how old is your son?
He's 5 now.
So I met you pre-son.
I know.
So at least.
Like 2012?
Yeah, probably.
I think so.
At the old Wonderland area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, like 6 years, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn.
I'm a Wonderland
Time
noob.
flies.
That's why I haven't met anybody yet.
Yeah.
Where have you been living?
Yeah.
You were going to the boring parties.
Monocle and top hat, like we said the other day.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. The art shows you go to, Sergio, were they like Wonderland? I don't even know.
I mean, I like Modern Eden and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
So slightly different vibe, but
Yeah.
probably a lot of the same people
Yeah.
going back and forth.
I started going to Modern Eden a little bit afterwards. I think only like 2 years maybe after or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Melanie, if you guys are wondering, she might sound a little different because she's super drunk right now. I'm just kidding.
Really drunk with water. I'm the most boring one that you interviewed. I'm drinking water.
No. Most people drink water.
Most people. Do you ever drink water?
Only if my mom forces me to. It's like vegetables.
Has to have bubbles in it too.
Yeah. I drink mostly mineral waters like every day. That's all I drink. But yeah, so you're our first accent of the podcast.
Yes.
Nice.
I'm Portuguese.
Yeah.
Funny story. I actually was born in San Jose.
Were you really?
Amazing spot. Yeah, my parents are immigrants, and they were here for, I think, 5 to 7 years. And I was born here. I'm the youngest of 3 girls. And when I was a baby, when I was 2-3 years old, my parents went back to Portugal.
Wow.
So I was raised in Europe.
Why'd they move back?
I think the whole thing of being an immigrant, in the past was really hard.
Yeah.
Being away from the family and doing, the janitor, painting the walls,
but now
type of job.
America makes being an immigrant super easy now, so that's cool.
I know. It's fun. Now we look back and we're like, they had it good.
Yeah. What were you complaining about?
My mom was like taking feathers out of chickens. Mom, that was a great job.
This was back in the 80s? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
I was born in 83. So
okay,
yeah.
Nice. You just dated yourself.
Oh, man. No, I'm 27.
I know. Whenever you hear someone, they're like, I was born in 1999. And you're like, what the?
I know.
What are you talking about? 1999? They can go to the bars now, right? If you're born in 99?
Not quite.
Really?
Maybe 19.
98?
Wait. Am I getting that?
I think you're bad at math.
Maybe I got that. Wait, 99. Okay.
I'm going to leave the maths for you.
Yeah, so...
This is why we're artists.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe 98, I think. But whatever. Who cares? Who cares about you 98?
Who's counting?
Yeah, seriously. Age is just age. So when you moved back to your homeland of America?
6-7 years ago, I moved, but I've been.
So
I never stopped in one place. So I actually moved from London. I was 6 years in London.
Yeah. How'd you like that?
It was good, but the weather really kills me.
Yeah.
Being Portuguese, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Right.
This is wrong.
Did you? What brought you to London?
So I did my arts degree in Portugal and also in France, kind of back and forth.
That's cool.
Because I'm that person that could never stay in one place for too long.
Right.
So, yeah, I did my master degree in fine arts in Porto, and then I was like, I'm bored. So I talked to the school, and I went to study in Bordeaux, south of France, for a year. Then I came back.
Bordeaux?
Bordeaux.
Oh, Bordeaux. I'm just kidding.
Bordeaux.
I'm just trying to make some French people's heads explode.
Hi, Sandrine.
So, so then I went back, and then I'm like, I'm bored again. So then I went to Paris. And then I came back, and I was already with my husband, and he moved to London. So I'm like, oh, let's go.
Nice.
So, and then I was like, I'm bored. And he's like, okay, let's go to San Francisco.
That's cool.
Nice.
So how do you like San Francisco? You came kind of like in a weird time, too.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been really like... I think more kind of psychological and spiritual, like very challenging experience because of the whole shock of cultures and how things are so different and how things are also so like changing so fast in this country.
Yeah.
Where the ideas that I had of America were already so far away, you know, like MTV and all those movies.
Right.
But then you come and things even change even more.
Yeah.
But it's mixed feelings. I love it, and it's actually one of my favorite places, but I think it's pretty much because of the land, the location, and because of the people.
Right. Yeah.
But then when it goes back to like the American culture and healthcare and all those like stuff,
cost of living,
I'm just like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So soon will you find yourself in Portuguese eating
octopus salad?
Yeah,
I hope so. Yeah,
that's awesome.
We are actually planning. Also, once you have a kid, like your priorities just change. You're suddenly like, this thing that I thought was so important, it is not anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And does that affect your art a pretty good amount?
It does, but it actually has been affecting in a surprising, really good way, where I'm much more confident. I'm like, my normal level of like energy is like always super tired, but I'm doing much more than I ever did in art and in life. But
that's
like,
cool.
Yeah, it really pushes you. Like, I'm very adamant of like what I'm gonna do, not like in like future, but like, no, this is what I love. It's art, and I'm creating and I'm doing, and regardless of my personal life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's been cool. But now I'm just picturing of doing the same, but like in the sunny beach in Portugal.
Not on like a windy ass day like today.
Exactly.
Yeah. By the way, people, if you hear a window crash, it's because there's a crazy wind blowing through San Francisco right now. But yeah, that's awesome. Me and MJ, we always have this discussion because we're both artists, and having a kid seems like a big fear of ours because I think both of us are like, well, what do we give up then? You know, and we both kind of freak out. So that's a cool other like perspective. I mean, we do get that a lot from other artists that have children. They're like, just do it. It'll be fine. It'll make you better. Yeah. And I'm always like,
yeah, and it's hard, but you know what? Life is hard.
Yeah.
And nothing is ever easy, but it does give you this like extra resilience that you didn't know you had.
For sure.
Like, and
that
also like, you know, when we were talking earlier about like before the podcast started about how the way you see the art world and the galleries and how you place yourself as an artist and all that.
Right.
Suddenly, that is not important.
Yeah.
It is really not.
Yeah. I mean, I I don't have kids, but I already kind of think that way.
Yeah.
Because it's been coming in waves as of recently where I'm like, wow, like I need to stop and really take time to think about what I'm doing as an artist and why do I paint, why am I doing the things I do? Because is it because I enjoy this anymore? Like, I mean, I do enjoy it, but it's like all these jumping through hoops for galleries. Yeah. It's like, why am I doing that if I don't actually enjoy it?
Because you start overthinking everything when there's so many expectations of you. Mm-hmm. You need to be an artist, but you need to be an art manager. Right. You need to be a business person. You need to be this and that. And suddenly you're trying to please everyone and you start losing bits of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, why am I'm doing the thing that I love the most, that I feel so privileged and grateful to do, which is being an artist. Yet I'm not loving it anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Because you're losing all these bits of yourself.
Yeah. And I think for me, what you end up doing is you end up going like, well, these are people that enjoy the art and I want to, and they're helping me out. But now I'm at the point where I think like who I want to share my art with isn't necessarily the gallery as much as it is like, even though social media gets bagged on, I think like the people that are there that are really like, that I get to communicate, like these younger people that are pursuing art or, whoever, like those people, when I talk to them or like, give them a little shit or like joke around with them or whatever, like I think they really appreciate that and they appreciate the art just as much as like any other area, where they can consume art. So
yeah, this is all the problem of our culture.
Yeah,
how society is built.
Yeah,
because it's told for us that you need to reach this level to be successful.
Right.
You need to do this to be acknowledged. You need to do all these little things that you actually don't. To feel like the true richness and fulfillment, it's not money.
Right.
Like obviously you can call me naive. Of course you need money to live and all that.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, like you said, you can feel that you're actually killing it in your art.
Right.
If you're touching other people just by inspiring them.
Right. Yeah. And the reason I think people show in galleries in general is because you want your art to be seen. And I know like social media isn't the best way to consume art, but I don't know if galleries are either, and I haven't, I'm in my head now thinking like how do I do it the right way where I don't feel like we're business partners and I'm in this for the business of art rather than like I'm trying to just create the best paintings I can create or the best artwork I can create, and then how do I have it be seen by people without feeling like I have to think, is this gonna sell, is this not gonna sell, are people gonna like this, or it's like
there is good and bad on both sides, and I think we are in one of those super important stages where we are defining the future grounds of how things are going to evolve in art, how are going to be perceived. And it's that moment where sometimes I feel like a dinosaur because I'm all like, hate social media, hate Instagram. Yeah. Like I'm not that person. Like,
do you hate Instagram or all that social media?
I have two sides. Like there's a side that I love the idea that the art is so accessible to everyone, and it's not an elitist thing anymore.
Right.
And I love like when people random from Minnesota or something come and like, I've been looking at your art for so long. I love your stuff so much, and you're like, that really touches you.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
But then the whole, like, I think it's actually a great thing if you can do your own business through it. But then there's a really this side of celebrity business side of Instagram that I hate.
Yeah.
Okay.
That it really bugs me.
Yeah.
So, but again, I feel sometimes like I'm a dinosaur in that sense where and now I need to choose if I'm going to just stay in my old ways or actually evolve with it and find some kind of common ground where I can get along with social media in a way that helps me, and also in a way that I'm okay with it, with my own values.
Yeah, I think that's important. That I was holding on to the values you have and being like, because there's like I don't know, last time I checked, I think there's like 7 billion people in the world. It's like, how many people share my values and my likes and my whatever? Like, I'm sure I could find enough to like enjoy my stuff.
And I love the stories that I hear of artists that haven't actually shown in galleries for many years.
Right.
And they're making all their money through their clients they already have, but through a lot of Instagram clients.
Yeah.
I think that's great. It's such an empowerment thing.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just really like the cliche of artists that it's really bad at selling her work, and I'm terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also horrible at like this. That's like one of the things I keep thinking about is because I hate being the salesperson of my own work. That's like the thing that the galleries, I really do appreciate that they do when they do it well. Like, going back to like Irene, she's like I've seen her.
Shout out to Irene.
Yeah, hanging out in the galleries, and she is a hustler, not just for my work, but for like everyone. Anytime anyone's interested in painting, you see her like, and she will go to like work for all the artists she shows.
She's a really gem. She's a special treasure that there's not many people, because she put her heart and soul, and sometimes it's really hard for her because she cannot really separate personal with work.
Right.
But she is so passionate that she really goes beyond. And there's, like you said, there's not many people like that.
No.
And I feel that's the problem too. It's like the galleries are doing less and less.
Right.
Where, well, at least I'm not obviously I'm generalizing. I'm sure there's some good galleries out there, but for some reason I feel like in the past they used to promote more and hustle more and do more.
For sure.
And now it's like one event post and
and it's like, how many followers does this artist have on their Instagram? That will determine part of if they're showing or not, and they rely on, it's like they should be in charge of the marketing part, but now it's like they rely on the artist to be part of the marketing part. But it goes, well, then does the artist get a part of that cut? Like, does that does the 50-50 exchange change now because he has so many followers? Yeah, because the marketing is now not on your shoulders, but on everyone's shoulders. So I don't know.
I think as an artist, you have a right to negotiate that. And in this day and age, I bet you're going to start to hear about more artists doing that.
I think so.
I hope so. Although if it's like me, I'm going to be doomed because I do not have a lot of followers and I get a lot of followers. Like, I just got a follower called Cartel Dubai.
Okay. And that's good money right there. Dubai.
And I'm like, what is that? That was a furniture store. And then I get all the weirdest things like, but I love boobies, or...
I'm always surprised that because Dubai really does buy a shitload of art. Like, a shitload.
Yeah.
I hear it all the time from artists. MJ, I feel like, has sold a couple there. But people are... And it's, I mean, they're a culture of excess. So, so, artwork is just probably something of excess. So they're like America of the Middle East or something. I don't know. But yeah, so Dubai, you should be like,
hey Dubai, what's up? Just talking like a one person. Hey Dubai, hey Doobie.
Hey Mr. Dubai.
Hey Doo-Doo.
I really like your lion. No diss to anyone in Dubai who has lions. Cause
I love your gold everything.
No diss to that either. But yeah, whatever. I don't know how we got there.
Yeah, no, it was me about the followers. But normally those kind of followers in like, I don't know, a week, I'll be like, why did I lose 10 followers?
Right.
Was it the picture of my kid?
Right.
Yeah. That's like one thing that definitely seems like MJ. She has like her own personal account where she just posts like her friends follow her and mostly, and that's where she posts like pictures of her and Mello. Like half of the time, it's just pictures of her and our dog.
I think that's a great idea, but you know what? I really tried. I did like 2 or 3 accounts. I just don't have the time for it.
Yeah.
I am that artist mom that wakes up in the morning and rides her bicycle, has a little bike trailer, takes the kid to school, runs here for only 3 mornings because I cannot afford to pay more preschool, and then goes home, cooks, does all the house duty stuff, and then at 9 p.m. till 2 a.m., last week was every night till 4 a.m., I come to the studio.
Wow. Yeah.
So I really don't have time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel that. I have, we have our waiting to dry account. I feel like I'm barely on that thing.
Don't say that.
I mean, Sergio's on it way more than me, but I mean, there's an understanding there. Like, Sergio has a job, but it's not as many hours committed to it. So if I wish I had that much more time, I would probably still not be on it. But
I enjoy making all the little memes and stuff though too.
Oh my god, the cheddar one killed me. I thought it was so Beavis and Butthead. It was awesome, old school stuff. You know, I tried to talk about it with 3 people, and I'm like, do you remember Beavis and Butthead would sit on a couch and would show all these stupid clips? And no one remembered because they were probably born in the 90s something.
Well, I didn't have cable, so I was always the kid that pretended he knew what people were talking about, but had no idea.
I'm still that person.
Okay. Because you don't have the internet now?
Yeah, right? Game of Thrones,
but yeah, so, wait, so your son is 5 now?
Yes.
So he's almost in kindergarten.
Yes, he's starting now.
So you don't have to pay for preschool then? Is that open your...
Yeah, because I'm probably one of the only moms in San Francisco that refused to try the private schools.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're all like, no, because that one doesn't have this and that. That one really has chickens and sheep, and it's really cool. So I'm gonna pay $34,000 a year for my kid to go to kindergarten. And I'm like, no, thank you.
Wow. That's like a That's like a person's wage.
No, when Noah was for preschool, there's this awesome school half a block away from our house. And I went to see. I'm like, I want to go here because it has everything. It had like animals, garden. It was amazing. And I tried to do the tuition scale because it was a private school. And they came back and they're like, we really want you and all that. And I'm like, oh, that's great. And they basically told me, but we think you can afford more than that. And they wanted me to pay $20,000. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, unless my kid is going to come out of preschool as Einstein.
I wonder how many people are, like, flabbergasted listening to this. Because, I mean, here in San Francisco, money is just, like... I hear the cost of living here, and I'm like, I can't even imagine. Like, we don't live in a cheap area in Santa Rosa, but San Francisco... seems like a crazy place.
It is, and you know, I do love, and it does have some really awesome things, but I did my math, and it actually ends up being the same as me living in Lisbon, in Portugal. It's not because... The
same cost? Because of the amount of money you can make?
Exactly. Okay. Like here, you make much more money as like a steady job, but then you pay so much more for rent and food.
Right.
That in Portugal, the rent is less, but the food is less. So it kind of ends up being the same.
Right.
So, you know, it's going to be really hard to leave all my best friends here. And I do love my day-to-day life here. But at the same time, I'm like, I can be sipping some margaritas in Portugal and having my octopus salad.
Is that your jam?
Oh my God. Anything that is like seafood in Portugal just feels like surreal.
Yeah, I got this old Portuguese guy I work with named Mario. Shout out to Mario. He's never going to hear this. And he's like this old guy who's hilarious. First of all, he just like starts screaming out opera. Like he sings opera like all day long, but he just does it out of the blue. And he's always saying
that, like, sounds about right as Portuguese.
And he's like, I'm get fucked up today. I'm like, I'm drinking my wine, it's Friday. And I'm like, hell yeah, man. But I mean, for me, like whenever I meet anyone outside of America, my first like instinct is to ask them like, what kind of food do you have over there? Because like that's I first of all, I feel like most people, when they think back to home, they usually think about like the people and the food. Like those are like the two main things.
For sure.
And so, whenever I ask that, usually people are like really like excited to explain their type of food. And he was saying like, oh, the seafood is amazing.
The Portuguese food is, I would like describe it as decadent. It's really good. I'm sure it's really bad for you too, but it's really good. Yeah, because all the desserts, all the sweets were actually from, the monasteries, the priests and the nuns.
They make
recipes. It's all started like that, and it was a lot of sugar and butter and eggs and all that, and it's amazing. But also the meat. Yeah, the food there, it is so good, and it's hard when people say, "What is the typical dish?" I'm like, there's like 10 million typical dish in Portugal. Like there's books of like 100 ways to cook cod. The salty cod.
Yeah.
So like it's hard to describe, but is really rich and amazing.
That's awesome.
And there's also like a special thing. Like here, the food is great too.
Right.
Like I actually, London was horrible. Was so bad. Like it was so bad.
I mean, that's the reputation they have.
Right. Yeah, you have to pay a lot of money, and it's gonna be okay. Like it's not like amazing. But here is good too. But in Portugal, it is just so rich. And what I love is that there's not much difference between you going to a Michelin star restaurant or your granny's little house or the how do you say, like the tavern where all the old men are drunk and it's very dirty.
Shout out to Mario again.
Like the food is equally as good. You can find all these special places super cheap and all that, and it's really, really good. And all feels like it was made by your grandmother. So,
well, I mean, I feel like that's what Michelin stars try to do nowadays. They really try to like make it like this authentic dish, but then they try to package it like fine dining. They try to really bring like the grandma's cooking with a really nice package and go like, here you go, try good food, because that's really what good food is usually like grandma's cooking.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on the grandma.
My mom, if you guys would go ever, well, you're invited to come, but if you ever come to Portugal, you will cry. Like my mom's cooking, it's like you cannot replicate that.
Wow.
Definitely want to go now.
And then like for you to see one of my Belgian friends once when I was studying in south of France, she came to visit, and it was just me and another girl. And my mom, she doesn't really remember anymore like how to speak English, so she understands, but she basically made about 8 dishes just for the two of us. And I'm like, Mom, stop, you're embarrassing me. And there was fish, and there was shrimp, and there was meat, and it was all kind of things. And my mom, the only thing she would say is like in Portuguese, eat, come, she's too skinny, eat. But it was amazing.
That's awesome. That's what moms do. They like force you to eat. I realized a long time ago, because when I was younger, you go like friends' houses and their moms make you eat. And I would always say like, no, like I'm all right, like I'm not that hungry. And now I'm just like, yeah, let's do this. Because they like you way faster.
I know.
The second you're like, let's do this, let's eat. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, there's some cultures that they take it as a big offense if you don't eat.
Yeah.
Like super rude.
Yeah.
Don't be rude.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. It's like if I cook something for like a party or something and I'm like, oh, food, and people are like, I'm like, just eat it. I worked hard on
You're
that.
You're like, I'm on a special diet that I can only eat quinoa and
exactly.
kale.
Yeah.
And I tried to breathe in the air from like the liquid from the air.
Yeah, exactly.
The humidity. That's how I get my water. People are ridiculous. But that's cool. So that's a for sure thing, you think?
I think so. I'm trying to persuade my husband. I have this plot in my mind.
Shout out to Hugo.
I know. Hugo, you're the bestie. So we are thinking about getting a plot of land and making our own home. And obviously, whoever doesn't know me, I love to build and create all kinds of stuff.
Right.
some people say I'm multidisciplinary artist. I think I'm a schizophrenic artist. So we already, like, he even said, he's like, you're going to be the project manager of our house. I'm like, yeah, I am. I know. So we're going to do that. And I'm trying to persuade him to have a plot of land where at the end I can have artist studios, like 2, one for me and one to do a residence artist. Yeah. Which is just like an excuse to have everyone over.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a genius idea.
So I keep like putting the seeds in my husband's brain. This is going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like an awesome idea.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to build a studio from scratch.
I know, right?
I mean, because it's just...
And I'm excited about... I've been traveling for so long. I've been away for so long from Portugal as well, that I now, and my work is a lot about, it's a lot social and political and about all this like things of what's going on in society and raising issues and dialogues. And I really feel like now I want to do this for my own culture, for my own country. I think artist residence is actually something that is like blooming everywhere, and I actually love that. I think it's a great thing, great experience. Have an American artist, a Spanish artist, a Mexican artist, whatever, coming to Portugal, learning a bit about the culture and like building their own thing there. I think that's what I would probably make maybe a difference. Like some residence artists, you just go and continue doing your own thing. I think it would be really cool for you to go there, and in the first week or so you have to experience the culture, the different culture, and then make work about yourself, your own style, but also like about the culture.
I really don't know much about Portugal. Is there any...
How dare you?
At least I'm honest.
It's not in South of America.
Isn't it part of Spain? No, just kidding.
A lot of people are like, is it next to Argentina? Like, no.
I just know they like a lot of meat, and they have good sausage.
And a lot of fish, and a lot of seafood, and a lot of beach. And they complain about working because they want to run to the beach. And we love to drink beer.
Oh, really?
And at the same time that we're eating snails. Like little snails.
Snails and beer.
But actually snails that you catch like in the wild or sometimes in your porch. Messed up. Okay.
They're just trying to slide away slowly.
They're like, oh, you're coming with me, amigo.
So in Portugal, is there like the like political, social like problems that you see here in our country?
Not as bad. I don't think not as bad. You know, like, I feel like this system really is not working. This whole democracy that we call democracy is not really a democracy. Like, the definition of itself is wrong. Because, you know, the whole freedom and all that is just BS right now. It's not happening. And, oh, we are helping with our votes. Are we really? Do we really know if that is the real votes, like the ones that we actually wrote down? Is the ones happening? Look at Russia, but you know, it's not as bad, but it's still really corrupt too.
I mean, like, it's definitely not the. I mean, the system could easily be, well, not easily, but I feel like there's like things where everyone could agree, like, yeah, it should be that way. Like, that's an easy fix, it seems like, but then it just never happens. Like on both political sides, you could even agree, like, it's like the electoral college or whatever. I don't really want to go too deep into this.
I know. I feel it's just sometimes like when you see these two ends of a spectrum that are meant to be so opposite, yet they're being so similar, right? Like Republicans and Democrats sometimes kind of feels like the same. They're not the same, but they feel the same sometimes.
I mean, for sure. And I think that's the big issue happening right now. Is there polar opposites both being extreme in the same kind of way? It's like, I don't know. I don't know really.
There's still a lot of corruption in Portugal, and I really, like, now I'm much more focused on what is happening here because my work's been all about here. So I don't even know that much. I know just a little bit the highlights, but I'm excited to actually go and like, I really feel like now what is really important for me is doing work for the people, for the viewers, to make people think about the subject much more than tell them what it is and what is not.
Right. Yeah.
But
so you're going to incorporate like Portugal kind of in like more of like a narrative based off of Portugal in your art, is that correct?
I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure. Like, you know,
well, is there anything like unique to Portugal that you're excited to explore as far as in your work that way?
As far as concepts?
Yeah.
Well, definitely, like, I've been, like, you know, pushing more towards, like, the social issues there and the politics. So definitely I'll have, like, I will have to research about a bit about that. Like, for instance, when I first moved here, it was such an impact of culture for me, even much more, like, specifically the gun violence. Because in Portugal, no one has guns. You don't see anyone with guns.
Right.
You rarely, you know, you see the cops with guns, but it's not the big guns. It's just I don't even know how to name them. For me, it's just like guns: little gun, big gun, medium gun. There's no like AK-47.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But yeah, so that was a big shock of culture. So since I moved here, I started focusing my work on. I did gun violence, I did refugee crisis, immigration, and now I'm more focused on women's stories, which actually taps on so many other sub ideas, like immigration, like misogyny, racism, all kinds of things. And I'm actually intrigued because I haven't been in my country for a while, and like I told you, I know more of what's happening, like briefly. I'm intrigued of how the same subjects that I'm working here are there.
Right. I mean, I think they're universal for the most part. I think there's some cultures that kind of allow it to be prevalent in the society, but then there's others that are just, you know, they're just. I think it's based off of what the culture kind of allows to be the norm. I mean, that I think lets people that are shittier kind of flourish. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's shitty people everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, but you know, like, it is a very small country and it's very welcoming and all that. But always been very kind of a macho country as well, like super macho country.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I see a lot of people, even like my parents, that I was pretty impressed of being all like angered by Trump and all that is going on here, which I'm like, awesome. I was really in shock. But, you know, like, there's also like racism and stuff. Well, obviously, there's everywhere. But I can feel that it's really embedded in the Portuguese culture too, you know, because we colonized a lot in Africa.
Right.
And then when they started coming, it's the same with Mexico, right? And other places here, in terms with America, like, then they start coming to Portugal and they're like, why are you coming to my land? And like, we just went there and raped everyone and killed a lot of you. And why are you coming to my land? And you're like, yeah, but you still gave me nationality. So like, so yeah, I'm interested in working on those things and seeing how Europe is right now.
So how did like you start like doing, because you do these like women, like almost like tiny bed couch things.
Yes.
I don't know how to describe them.
I call them women pillows, but they're actually, they're like a low kind of bench or couch kind of thing. So this all happened when, you know, all those like misogynist
like the Me Too movement during that, or was it before?
It was before. So
I went doing that, like,
this was before. I think I've been doing this for like 2 years, I think, or more. So it was when it was the first Women's March in Washington, and me and another friend, by impulse, we bought a ticket and we went to Washington.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And it was when we were hearing all the things about, you know, women being grabbed by their pussycat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it just started bringing all these memories of what was to growing up as a woman in Portugal, and things that you just accepted as, I'm the weakest link, so I need to try twice or 3 times harder than anyone, and you just accept it. And I was always like that. I was that skinny, tiny little girl that played soccer since super young and would kick the guy's butt because I was just like I just have to do this. And was tomboy and was like going always to the limits of like getting all like scraped on my legs and like throwing myself on the floor. And but yeah, I was always pushing through, and then all these little memories came through, and it started really shaking me. And then I went to the Women's March, and it was a very special moment. It was actually pretty amazing. The amount of people there, like old people that could barely walk, that had like those little helper cane, like, I don't know how you call it, walkers. You know, like babies. Like it was really, really intense and an amazing experience. So I came back and I started doing my women's stories, which it's a very long and complex process, like everything in my mind. But I basically first start by interviewing different women about their life stories. And I asked them a few questions. Where were they born? Their family culture, and how was like, what was your most traumatizing and your most exciting moment in your life? And what is your first memory? Things like that, like little triggers kind of thing. And I take pictures of them, I record them, and I then draw their shape in a piece of cloth. And then I make a kind of an intense, I call them a portrait, like intense portraits of that person's life, the way that I'm seeing it now. So I make the shape and make this pillow, which is then going to connect to the viewers' stories. And then I also continue by doing paintings and sculptures, and almost like, sometimes I feel like it's almost like a scientific thing where you're like dissecting the little animal and trying to take all the little bits and figuring it out. It's kind of what I try to do.
That's cool.
But it's a very generalized portrait of someone that you had like a one-on-one interview, and then from their shape, I build that women's pillow or sofa or couch. That then I do installations and art shows where people can actually come sit and tell their stories.
Right. Yeah. I remember seeing, I think the first one you did, was that for Kaboo? Was
yes.
That, yeah, and I remember you had like a book where they would write in them.
Yes.
Do they still do that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I still do that. Okay. And I have a show coming up, and I'm going to do that too again. It's really intense. Yeah. I never expected how open people are to actually share their stories. Yeah. And some people really feel, oh, it's a feminist. It's not really. I'm not really focusing like, oh, this is a feminist work. Of course, it has some kind of side of feminist because it's all about women's stories. But we all, male or female, we all have mothers and grandmothers and sisters and all that. We all have stories about women. Yeah. And that's the main thing. The main thing to really like resume it's to connect strangers through their life stories by showing their difference, but also by highlighting their similarities. That everyone has a story to tell, and everyone is unique and special, really.
That's awesome. So what do you do? Do you read these books?
I do, but it's really hard. Yeah. And in Kaboo, a lot of people would come straight to me and like tell me the story and start crying and hug me and thanking me.
That's awesome.
I felt I was like in some kind of like, I don't know, church or something. It was really intense to a point that I would have to take breaks and go outside and breathe in, and like it was really intense. And I don't think I'm really a spiritual person, but you could totally feel the energy. It was really like, whoo, okay. Settle down. And it was amazing. And you hear all kinds of stories, and it's not only all negative. There was so many love letters. There was so many. One that I love the most is people talking about their mothers. So many, like, my mother is amazing, powerful, strong woman that, went through hell and back to raise me and all. Like, these awesome. Really, like, inspiring stories.
That's cool.
So, yeah, I'm just trying to put it out there because I feel like with what is happening in the world right now, sometimes, and with globalization, I don't know how you say it, right? Yeah. It's funny because you feel like every country is your neighbor, but sometimes there's like a paradox where instead of feeling so close to each other, you feel so little. And like if you're by yourself. So there's a very kind of contradictory side of things.
Right.
Contradiction. And so I really just wanted to highlight that everyone is important and has a story to tell.
Huh. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Do people get really mad that guys can't tell guy stories?
No, actually no. And I get a lot of guys. I have to say I was really impressed. I would get a lot of guys.
Uh-huh.
Only once that there was one person that I was like, "Ooh, I'm scared." Like he just went all blazing about macho things.
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, and making those dirty jokes like, "Oh, a man never tells his story." And I'm just like, no, it was really wrong. And I'm like, you're really missing the point here.
Right.
But it was really only one situation. But apart from that, no, it's been great.
That's awesome.
And also it's really interesting how people sit on the pillows. Like the body language, that it's very interesting. Because I've been spending so many hours on this and seeing so many people sitting and writing.
Right.
I started noticing that the way the posture and the way they sit and where they sit. Some sit straight on the face, while while others try to sit and like almost like they're on the floor, almost not touching it, while others try to mimic the body. And I started realizing that actually shows me what kind of, it gives me a little glimpse of what they are writing.
Right.
Of they're writing a positive story, a traumatizing story, like are they fooling around and just making like, because sometimes you get really stupid ones.
Right, yeah.
Like I love pineapples.
I mean, who doesn't?
So, but it is really interesting to start observing how people react to it.
Yeah, I almost thought you were going to say that it almost gives you a glimpse of what the relationship is to women, like how they sit on the
For sure.
pillow like that.
I mean,
that too, but obviously they're normally talking to a specific person, like grandmother, mother, aunt. But yes, it does, at least to that specific story they're writing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So do you plan on ever like maybe publishing the stories or anything like that?
I think so. I'm planning right now. Not sure about the date yet, but I'm planning right now a show with Weinstein Gallery, and they're actually pretty cool about it. They're actually giving me freedom. That's
awesome.
A crazy artist like myself. That's what they're like. I'm like going to installation, and this is gonna fall, and this is gonna jump out of something.
Right.
But so yeah, I'm excited, and I'm thinking. Did you see the show of Sophie Calle? She's French, so it's probably Sophie Calle. And Fort Mason.
But the name sounds super familiar.
Yeah, she's a big deal, and she's really amazing. And she did 3 or 4 different pavilions. Sorry, and all kinds of things from like sound, video, photographies. And there was one that was really interesting. That was when her partner at the time broke up with her. I think it was via email or something. And it was a really lousy letter. But she basically copied that letter, I don't know, 1,000 times, and sent it to all these different people in the world, like the different women and all that. And then they would have to do something with it. But it was full freedom. So some of them would do a dance about the letter. Others would like recital it. Others would act on it and all these crazy things. And when you would go to her show, the room, it was really showing everything as the research and the process is all part of the art piece. And that's what I kind of want to do with the women's stories, where you come into a room and you have the photographs. You have video editing of the people that I interview. You have the stories that people have been writing.
Right.
And then it's following the work that I've been doing about it.
That's cool.
And then right at the end, just to finish the full circle, you have the pillows where you start the new story.
Right. Huh. That's awesome. It's almost like the pillow is like the thing, almost like your paintbrush in a way.
It is. Yeah. It has been. Like I've been... I feel like I've been totally painting with fabrics lately. So that's
awesome.
cool. And I started doing a panel too that I haven't finished. And lately I've been thinking about going back to some paintings about these women and actually making real like yarn and fabrics coming out of it. Like start sewing directly on canvas. And because I always struggle with two-dimensional, the of painting being two-dimensional. That was always my big struggle. I think that's why I started going to installation and sculpture.
Right.
Because I never liked that at the end sometimes it would always look like a painting. I wanted to make it alive.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier because I remember the first sculpture that you created was like this like 8-foot bear. That was awesome. I mean, and it had like black like tar or something on it.
Yes.
And it was like pushing like a cart or something. I can't remember that. It was
my official California bear gone homeless. And it was a huge ass bear where I had to like steal a shopping cart from Safeway. Shout out to Safeway.
I remember when you, first of all, when you walk into the gallery, that was like your eye instantly got drawn to your sculpture, so how dare you. But I remember talking to you before the show and you were like, I'm worried it's gonna fall apart.
Well,
because it was like your first.
Yeah, and I was what I was worried is because I did it in a way where his legs were not like just straight. He was kind of like having this little movement.
Right.
And I kept getting these really drunk people going and hugging it. And I'm like, I know you see it and it looks really like cuddly and fun, but it's still an art piece.
Right. You need that like velvet rope around it or something.
Once I actually saved it where a guy hugged it and I just started seeing it, tilting it with the guy. And you see how little I am.
Right.
I just like ran and I'm like, no. And I like hugged him and the guy. And I'm just like, dude, like.
She was just like, are we doing this?
I know.
He just thought you were coming on to him. He was like, are you in love with me?
But I have to say, it is such a difference when you do sculpture. And I've only started doing sculpture when I moved to San Francisco, so it's been 6 years.
Right.
A lot of times you want to punch people in the face because they really do not understand the sense of like, do not touch.
Right. Yeah.
They go straight away. Once I did.
And another thing too is you use like, a lot of times you'll use like toy soldiers.
Yeah.
And that's probably like
guns.
an object that's like kind of familiar to like people in general. So they go like, oh, it's a toy soldier. Like it's a toy. I could easily see them making the connection between like a toy and being like, this isn't that sacred because it's a toy now.
I know, because some of them are like assemblage.
Yeah.
That's why once I did this intervention at White Walls Gallery before like it went all crazy into shit. I did.
Oh, did that happen?
No one remembers.
Never heard of that. Huh?
Well, kind of disappeared, right? It was so weird.
I think they white walled it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I did a solo show there, and then I did a few other shows where you would give me a room. And that was a good thing, actually. That was total freedom. And in one of them, I built 2 deers, mama deer and little baby deer, all made of soldiers. They were all white and pristine on top of a pedestal.
Right.
And then on the other pedestal right in front, you had a huge water gun, all painted gold. And I brought ink, and people were shooting ink at it. And that's why I did that, because I was doing all these sculptures and everyone cannot keep their hands in their pockets. They're always touching it. And I thought, I always like these little paradox where you're right in the fine limit between what is playful and actually the act of what you're doing is actually an act that mimics all around the world that kills a lot of people, kind of thing. And you know what? I got there with I got so much ink. I was like, this is going to be so much fun. I'm going to videotape it and all that. It was like 5 minutes. People went so crazy on it. I had no time to record it. They completely lost the idea that they were shooting at a deer. They were just killing it. little kids, old people, young people.
Oh my God.
When I had actually someone that was coming and doing like a professional video and all that, he came when was done. That's why you never saw a video. Because he came and I tried to do this shitty montage with this is what was before, this is what is now, but it looks shitty because I'm like, they didn't even give me time to breathe.
Right.
They were so on it, like, boom, boom, boom. So yeah, there's something about really touching things.
That's hilarious.
Once I did a life-size wolf, all made of toy guns. And it was like it was a howling wolf and was black and silver.
I think I remember.
Yeah,
that.
I showed it at YWalls on my social, and then I showed it at Irene too at Wonderland. And I'm talking, and I'm like, oh, someone is gonna touch. I might be fine. There's a guy that is talking to someone else with his back to the wolf. He is with his shoulder on it. He's leaning on it. Like if it's a couch. He's leaning on it. Like this, like, hey, what's up? He's talking to him. And I'm talking to my collector that he actually next day he bought it. And I'm like going red. I'm like, what is going on? And then that was actually really good. He saved me because normally I'm the one like, can you just not? Right. And he just goes and he's like moves the guy. And I'm like, is this normal? Is this real life?
I mean, people are just unaware sometimes.
It is so weird how they feel like they can.
A lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well.
I mean, ignorance is bliss for those that aren't the ones watching the ignorant person.
Art one-on-one. People do not touch the artwork.
Yeah,
if you want to touch, buy it. If you break it, then you have to pay the artist to fix it.
It was funny because me and MJ, we went to the Legion of Honor for the first time this year. And when we were there, like I can't help, but like whenever I see artwork, I can't help but get really close to try to figure things out.
Yeah.
And they were constantly like telling me like, sir, you need to back away from that painting. And I'm like,
and you breathe on it and they're like, ah!
Yeah, exactly. Please don't sigh on the artwork
either. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I was like, I should be able to. No one else should. I know the rules. I'm not going to get close enough to touch it. I just need to see how the light bounces off of it.
I like to do that too, though.
I know. Yeah.
And I like to try to see all the layers.
Yeah, exactly. And try to break down how I think they did it. And it's like,
right.
I need to do this. These people are just looking and pretending.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty close up on the Klimps as well. So
oh my
get
God!
It.
Yeah, I love Klim.
Yeah, but he's all right. I'm just kidding. He's super good.
I love, but the best ones were not here at this show.
No,
but
I mean it was a small
really
show.
Yeah. But it would still, you still get happy to like.
Yeah, for sure.
See, like something like that.
Yeah. Well, I'll accept it. So after, I was going to ask you too about like your sculpture. So when you like kind of started dabbling in the sculpture world, did that like feel freeing to you?
It did. I feel like, this for everyone, you always need the yin and the yang, right? The balance
and
out
the
thing.
Twins.
I feel that I strongly really need that, where I get really involved and really intense on the painting, and I need to back up and suddenly be doing something more intriguing and more methodic with my hands. Like I struggled with that when I was a kid, to like choose, do you want to be a sculptor or you want to be a painter? Yeah,
I found that because I've been doing the woodworking stuff, and that really is like it's the same thing. It really is like a balance for me. Like it really helps me with my art, just kind of doing something physical in a more, I don't know, three-dimensional way or something. I don't know. It's just a different way of thinking about things.
Yeah, and will give you a different perspective on the painting too.
Yeah.
And I like my paintings, I like to be loose and expressive, and like go look huge brush strokes and all that, and then come back up and like do some little details. But then sometimes I just need, like with the sewing or with the sculptures, need that thing where you do a little bit more planned and more controlled.
Right. Yeah. Do you have anything like that, Sergio?
What that I do with sculpting or anything like that?
Like anything like, or kind of, it's like maybe a creative outlet, but in a different way other than like painting, I guess.
Trying to think. Not so much a creative outlet, but
you make your own beer.
Yeah.
Garden.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, it's not so much a creative outlet, but like building my own panels and stuff like that gives me a bit of a tactile sort of thing to yeah, it does become a bit of like it's a craft sort of thing.
Right.
So it does become somewhat of that, but yeah, I'm just too lazy to get into sculpting right now. It's just too much of a time commitment to really get into
sculpting. I mean, I just mean like you could be like a gardener or something. I don't know, something like.
Right.
I don't know. I don't even know the thing, but I'm thinking of, like, for me, it's woodworking. It doesn't necessarily have to be creative, but
right.
Like an outlet that's kind of physical, I guess.
You can build your kid's treehouse bed like me.
Yeah,
exactly.
My imaginary kids.
It would be weird.
Be weird. This is from when I have 3 kids. His names are Maria, John, and Gustavo.
Gustavo just won't shut his mouth. Yeah. The other cool thing, like, I really enjoy about like your sculpting stuff is it really looks like you get to like learn new things. Like you do these like resin sculptures, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, I want to learn how to do that. Or
I'm telling you, just have a kid. I swear to you, like it just changed a lot. Because before I was doing sculptures, but it was like assemblage and was things that I kind of felt more, I think, comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, I don't know if it was that just opened a whole new door, or if it was having a kid and like, because now I'm just like, I tried the resin.
Right.
I've been cutting wood and making shapes and building these kind of little couches and building a bed. And don't get me started on ceramics. I went to one class. I'm like, no, I cannot open this door because this is not going to end. So
do it.
I know it's hard, but it is fascinating how I feel like when you're younger, and you're trying to figure out what you want to do for school or what you want to be, those big questions they ask you, it's so hard.
Right.
And you get overwhelmed and you just want to be able to survive teenager times, with not too many pimples in your face.
Yeah,
and
I'm just trying to do hood rat shit with my friends.
So, but then once you actually, get older, I'm not 80 years old, but when you get a little bit older, then you're like, oh man, you get more interested about these things.
Right. Yeah. I think so.
Like,
I mean, at the same time, I have this weird conspiracy in my head that everyone's trying to make me have a kid. So I'm like, don't do.
I am. Everyone, go have babies right now.
It's just like the Illuminati.
So then I can't say "wahaha" because mine is already 5, and then you guys are going to be changing diapers.
I know.
It's like, MJ, if you're listening, throw away your birth control.
MJ, you have all the power. Remember that.
I'm cutting it off.
Yeah.
I have that one move.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so should we go into the painting we're going to talk about?
Sure.
So this painting, does it have a title?
Let me see if I remember.
So your titles are super important.
They are. I did forget. I think it was just called China Girl.
Okay.
But I would have to double check. But yeah, it was based on one of the interviews that I made.
Okay.
Which I'm not gonna state the name, but basically.
You already did. Her first name was China, last name Girl.
Damn it. Yeah, but to resume it a little bit, like the story about it is her story is actually moving from China to America when she was 14 years old.
Uh-huh.
And her struggles of like living in between these two very different cultures.
Uh-huh.
and how how in China at that time you could only have one kid, and if you had a girl, it was like a failure. Right. It was really bad. Mm-hmm. Like in a sense where they almost really didn't you didn't even feel loved.
Yeah,
I
was about to say you
it was
should find out how great it worked out for them now.
Yeah, because like now the male population is like huge.
I know,
and the female population is so much lower because of that.
Right.
Yeah, they really didn't think, and they're probably really terrible at math. But yeah,
ironically.
so it is that kind of struggle of living between these two very different cultures, and actually not feeling like you belong in either one of them sometimes. And also another thing, being the person I interviewed was actually an artist, so being a Chinese artist living in America, it's like it's double trouble. It's like this. A lot of the response to my interview was how she's seen as a failure. If you're 30, if you are not married, if you don't have kids, if you're an artist,
right.
and you already started with you being born as a female,
right? Huh.
So this painting is all about the struggles, about what do you feel like you are and what do you feel like is expected of you, but also how you already are starting as in the losing team kind of thing.
Wow.
So in the middle of the painting, that is like a rough image of a uterus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's there's this kind of little shape, almost like a little dragon tail coming out of it, where it's trying to be held down inside to it. And yeah, it's just like a lot about, it's about the expectations as well of being a female and having to procreate and having to have kids.
Right.
And that's such a big pressure. Even just, even though I really want you to have babies.
I know, I was just about to say.
It's a big pressure.
She's part of the problem.
People are always putting pressure on women to have kids.
It is. You grow up thinking like you have to have kids, so it's
because you do, Josh.
Yeah. Good point. Good. You're making real good points right now. There's this pressure. You're right.
But
MJ,
also
hope you're listening.
Also, even though that you have these two sides, one side that is really hard, the other side is like amazing. It will be your best creation. I have to say that. I'm like, fuck this. Like, art is so overrated. Look at this kid. Like, damn. Like, my kid is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, well, you got a good kid.
Yeah.
Some people aren't that lucky. I've seen some little assholes out there. Shout out to little assholes everywhere.
But then when he was little, sometimes it would hit me, this overwhelming feeling of like, you're raising a human being.
Right.
Everything he'll do, it's kind of like your responsibility, and sooner or later you will mess him up.
Yeah. I mean, that's who was I talking to? Someone this week, but we were just talking about pretty much everyone's flaw. They were like, yeah, because my parent, yeah, because my dad, or it was all like, it was just like, no matter what, you're gonna find flaws in your personality, and you're gonna draw it back to like somehow you were raised this certain way that probably, or genetically or whatever, but who cares? I mean, fuck it, we're all unperfect.
Yeah.
Get used to it, people.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
The painting is super cool.
Yeah, I really like the painting, the way it's
it
done.
has a lot of different layers.
Yeah.
That's what I really like to do. I do one layer and I change it. One of my friends is the one that started pushing me to do videos of my paintings, because she's like, you do it one day and the next day is so different, and then the next day is so different. You have to film this of like all the different lives that is like.
I've had a thought like that, but that seems like it would be perfect for you. I remember thinking like, what if I had like one painting that I just did my entire life and just always added a little bit more, and just every day would take like a picture of it, and then it would just never be a complete thing. It would just be a painting that I worked on forever.
I think there was an artist that did that. I don't remember the name, but it's really sounding familiar what you're just telling me. But yeah, no, I think that's a great thing because that's the thing about human beings. Even though that we have our core values and essence and our personality, we're always evolving.
Right.
So, paintings that I did and I was like, oh my God, it is perfect.
Right.
Let's not touch it.
Yeah.
Next year, I'm like, I think it needs a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's that part of your painting process is awesome because there is something where you can kind of tell where nothing is safe. You can the painting in general is like, for me, like I'm always like, don't mess this part up.
Yeah.
I can mess up that part, but this part has to be like sacred. So it is like kind of nice to see like where there's like this fearlessness to your artwork.
Oh, thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And,
I did take like I think a year on it because I really wanted to work on it. And yeah, I see what you're saying. And I feel like when I first started painting, it was much more like figurative and much more like little brushes and like little things. Like when I first started, when I was a kid and then college.
Right.
But then there was this thing about me always, like this idea always bugging my mind about making them be alive, making them change and evolve and have a story, making them like even if for just one instance that whoever is looking at it forgets that it's a few pieces of wood with a cloth of canvas.
Right. Yeah.
That you just kind of
awesome.
get into it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a good challenge to have.
And I think that is because when I was a kid, I went to this women's atelier, this studio, and because there was a moment that I was just like, I'm bored. Like I don't think the art at school is that great. Like the same story. You're the best, like the best in this class, and it's not challenging.
Right. You sound young and cocky.
Oh, totally. No, actually, no. I was really shy and quiet, but it was more like I was painting since I was 4, and I always knew what I wanted to do, and it was. So I felt like I needed more.
Right.
And I heard about people taking classes of painting, and I was like, is that an option? So then I went to see these classes, and this lady I just couldn't even afford, but it was this art studio that has this amazing super expressionist paintings. And it was so overwhelming for me as a kid that it just took a hit on me, and I started crying. And I could not tell why.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, are you okay, weird kid? And I'm just like, I didn't know what hit me.
Maybe she sprayed you with pepper spray.
Maybe she has some kind of voodoo shit and then makes us pay like a lot of money for her class.
They just have a guy. Exactly. They just have a guy cutting onions like right next to you. Why am I crying? But he's just like secretly cutting it.
Or maybe they did hit me with something and it's just super painful. But yeah, so I think that really like always settled this idea in my head.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So do you try to accomplish that goal? I mean, when you try to accomplish that goal, do you think you accomplish it every time, or is it like something where like when it happens you're like, or are you still chasing it? Or
I think it, sometimes it's in the palm of your hand. Next day you wake up, it's gone. It's really like that. I don't think it ever stays, that feeling.
It's like trying to catch a fart.
Exactly.
You just gave me some kind of visual idea of how to catch a fart. Maybe there's an app for that.
You got some jars here in the studio. You could try that.
Yeah, I know. Maybe you can invent something. You're going to be super rich with a fart catcher.
Yeah, because the market for farts are like people.
My son would love that. He would totally buy that.
Yeah, that is true. Kids would be like, yep.
No, his highlight of the day is talking about farts and poo-poo. And
yeah, if you could capture farts and then shoot them at people, Kids would go crazy for that.
Do you also have
I was
those
gonna
little
say,
stinky
is he available
things?
for a podcast interview?
The stink bombs.
Yeah.
I used to love those when I was a
Oh,
kid.
man.
Who knows what they're filled with? Probably some because it's like you're squeezing one chemical pack, and it's like reacting to the other chemical in this bag, which is bloating and off getting some
Exploding.
kind of like fart smelling, so like some kind of like sulfate gas or something.
Oh my God, that was the good old times.
Good times.
I know. Kids now, they just,
Video
probably swipe
games.
right on or
Yeah.
left on the iPad.
Yeah, on Kidder.
Kid. Looking for what, like play dates or something?
Yeah. No.
Okay, maybe I retract my thing. Do not have a kid. Because kidder is kind of messed up.
Yeah, that's horrible. Actually,
I'm glad
Once you-
Sergio told about play dates because I was like, just like, ew.
oh no,
What do you-
not for adults. For kids that do with kids. Does he like Ninja Turtles? No. Ugh. Is he even PlayStation or whatever? I don't know what video game systems there are. Well, you.
You're already out. You're already, Joshua, no.
Does his bunk bed have a? Is it even cool?
That's mine.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Kids.
But
But yeah. The second you think that adult would use that, you're like, oh, that got dark.
Oh yeah. Jesus. Yeah. I
Yeah.
wasn't even
No one
thinking
should
that.
make that. I know.
that was, my mom mind
Yeah,
was right there. And I'm like, you guys are weird. We are done with this interview.
I know. I was like, what? What are you talking about? Kids swiping left to other kids? That's hilarious. It was like, yeah, an adult in that
Yeah,
situation.
you'll see once you take your little Josh MJ kiddo to the
Illuminati.
playground and you have a weird adult looking at him funny and has no kid, then you'll see.
That's-
You're like taking your boxing gloves.
yeah, and he's like, I'm the kid. He'll have like his own kidder, and he's like got a fake profile.
I know. With glasses and like,
Never mind. No one should make kidder. Gosh,
so bad idea.
I guess it's parents that no one without kids should make kidder.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great idea. Right?
Let's just like smoothly change subject. Like
So, let's get back to the
painting. Yeah.
But yeah, it's super awesome. There's like two. So there's obviously like you said there. It's like a person stuck between two worlds, and there's
Yeah.
this person with two different heads, and one almost has like this this impression of I don't know.
It's almost like French's baconish face.
Oh, yeah.
rub
Right.
with-
Yeah.
Is that one that you're saying? or the
No, I was
other one?
talking about the one with the like the eye open, like
Yeah.
almost like a shocked look. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, or if there's an expression you're trying to capture through that look.
It was. It's kind of almost like about to look over your shoulder, like starting focusing elsewhere,
Oh, I see.
Okay,
yeah.
right.
kind of thing. I like the movement of the head being back and forth,
Mhm.
but it's in this case it's two heads. But yeah, and it's a lot of different materials to really give this kind of different intensity to each moment on the
Right.
painting.
Yeah, and each the faces are very different.
Yeah.
One has like pencil work, and I'm
Yeah.
not close enough to.
The other
See too
one,
much.
the other one is oil, and it's really with the spatula, and it's kind of all scraped, like if it's
Mhm.
a wall that you're taking bits of paint out of it.
Mhm.
And I think it's really like that kind of thing, idea of anonymous. Like if you don't see a face, it's anonymous because it's
Right.
struggling to define itself,
Huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
that's cool.
But yeah, now I've been looking at it. I'm like, is it finished? Like, and it was one of my favorite ones. And it used to have a big dragon, and then I felt was too figurative because
Right.
what I struggle with figurative sometimes is that I feel like when it's too finished, the lines close the own thoughts, if that makes sense.
Right, like you're not leaving it open for any interpretation kind of idea. Is that what you mean?
Or for fluidity kind of thing. When it's all very like worked on,
Uh-huh.
I feel that suddenly the person who's looking at it just stays inside. It's the same,
Yeah.
you know, when you're learning about shapes and all those like organic shapes. And if
Mhm.
you close the line, then you see that weird circle shape
Right.
kind of thing. But if you leave it open, then it might turn to something completely different kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's why it had a dragon, but I took it out. It had other things too. And it has a lot of water, which is going around. And it was really related, it was really related to the fear that the person had about drowning.
Oh, okay.
And it really it's funny how suddenly their stories start being mine. Because I felt, and some of these people already knew, but there's so much going on. There's so much information going to your mind, to your eyes every day, that sometimes I feel like even my friends, they will have to tell me 5 times what are they doing or what is this, and you're not paying attention. You're not 100% focused. And suddenly when I'm starting interviewing them, I am 100% focused. And it reaches this depth, this much more intimate level where,
For sure.
you've probably
totally
felt the same, right?
Yeah.
Where you suddenly, you see that person in the street in a different way.
Right.
Because you really know their story now.
Right.
Because you were really paying attention to them.
Yeah.
And that's what I started feeling. And then their thoughts and their responses are not going away. They're really there.
Right.
So this thing about the fear of drowning, it was something that really stuck in my mind for a long time, and trying to figure out if that kind of survival of trying to not drown when you were a kid, if it's also related of you not being able to define yourself, your personality, your character kind of thing.
That's cool.
It's almost the limbo thing,
Yeah.
You don't go to hell, you don't go to paradise. Not that I believe in that.
I mean, even if they're not connected, you can connect the parallels of her almost drowning in society with her fear of actual drowning.
Yeah.
Or or her personality being lost within these cultures or whatever.
And you can even twist it around in the other perspective, which is that in a way where you're actually always touching both worlds, both sides of the thing. If you're kind of always staying in the middle and struggling, but you're always being fed by the two sides of the coin. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going really deep now.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I will say is why is your art so lighthearted and fluffy?
You know that, I've heard this several times, because before I used to be much more dark. I think now I compensate with color and lightness and the color, but before I used to do more dark colors. And
I actually really like the palette on this painting too.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been really drawn into these kind of pastel colors with just some little pops of reds or blacks.
Yeah.
But when I was in London, I've seen galleries where they're I really like your work, but it's too deep.
Oh, wow.
They would tell me like this. And I'm thank you, I guess, and fuck you. They were but they were just business perspective. They're it's too deep. It's not gonna sell. Yeah. And then
they were oh, have you guys seen those artists in IKEA? Maybe you should go talk to them.
I know.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Or whatever. I don't. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
No, I heard that one, and then another time, because when I was in London was a time that I actually was. I think I was pretty depressed, because it was the first time finished college, went to London, needed money, started working in stores, quickly went up, so started being luxury brand managers, and was a lot of responsibility.
Plus you're in London.
Plus you're speaking 24/7 language that it's not yours, and you're competing with all these people that have been living there for so many years,
But I also heard that London, because of their weather, because of the lack of sunlight, and lack of vitamin D, because of that depression is higher there.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I'm pretty sure that you can find some kind of statistics that in gray places and cold places, there's more suicidal rate.
Right.
Oh, it's absolutely true.
Yeah, like for sure. And that was really hard with me because my friends there would still like go out and do things, but I would be like a cat. I would see like rain outside and it's great. I'm like, stay home and watch a movie.
Yeah.
But I also had a lot of work and a lot of responsibility where I was like traveling to like France and opening other stores and things. So I almost really stopped painting, and that just broke my heart. It was like the hardest thing ever. So I think my paintings were kind of dark at that time because of that too. But one time, funny enough, so I was like being interviewed for a job application, and they were asking me about my stuff, and I am like, yeah, I studied art, all that. And they somehow got, they had my name, they knew I was an artist, so they found my website, and they basically didn't hire me and told the hiring agency company because I must have serious problems because my art was too dark.
Oh my God.
They told them that.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
How dark was your art?
I don't know. I've seen darker, but I'm always like, I was just like, you fucking asshole. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Can I say these kind of things?
No, you fucking can't.
Like, how dare you to actually think you know anything about me because you're seeing it. I'm pretty sure you know nothing about art.
Yeah.
But even try not to be arrogant back to them. Like, how dare you to think you know me just because you saw my paintings?
Yeah. I mean, people just are bad. Like, I've had it before where, like, a coworker, he saw my art, and then he showed his wife, and his wife was like, why is his artwork so violent towards women? I'm like, what?
What?
And he's just like, yeah, like, she thought because the arrows,
Oh,
like,
okay.
Oh, but, like...
I'm pretty sure they're all just projecting.
Yeah,
they all have their own issues and then see something different.
Yeah, probably.
I never thought your art is violent, and I've seen the arrows and all that.
I know. I'm like, it's a narrative tool. Like,
you're like, it was obvious? A Cupid,
but people just don't see that. They're just
right.
Like,
they took it very literally.
Yeah. Like,
and I understand that. Sometimes we as creative minds, we are so in this like little bubble in our brain that like I understand that a lot of people will see art, and some of them that don't really have not education or experience or even like seen that much art, that is hard for them to comprehend. I understand that. But once you're stepping up to like start pointing and saying you did this because of that, like that's just arrogant shit.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but art is like one of those things where people are kind of almost allowed to critique it without any.
It is, and it's still
knowledge
good
or anything. You hear it all the time where they're like someone who does nothing. They're like, just tell me how you feel about this painting. It's like you would never. There's so many different. Like careers where that would never ever be allowed. No one asks a mathematician, like no one walks in on a mathematician and says like, let me give you my opinion
sure
on
that
this.
equation.
Or like engineers or anything.
Architect.
Yeah. Let me show you. Oh, you think that building's good? Let me show you what I think would be good. Or
do like a little blob on it.
It's like, but artwork is kind of one of those few things. Art in most forms, music and movies and any form of artwork, people are kind of free to look at it and then give their unprofessional opinion about it.
Yeah, and it goes back to that cliche expression of like any how do you say, any criticism is a good criticism kind of thing, which obviously there's some that are just like assholes, but it is true, like it will not touch to everyone the same way, and that's the special thing about art. And if it's touched them, and that it doesn't mean that it's wrong and that it's bad. It's actually good that some people have some different kind of opinions, and it is really down to like the way that they their life experience.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if all criticisms are good. A lot of times I'll hear something, I'm like, that was so stupid. But I'm not going to count everyone out. So sometimes people surprise me and they'll say something and you're like, wow, that was really fucking good. Or even like kids or whatever, like they'll say something and you're like, holy shit, like
No,
what else?
The other day at Mina, there was one that I was just like, really? And he kept banging on it. And I'm like, are you being serious? And I was giving he was asking me why did I did this and that. And I was just giving my view.
Right.
But what I really like is like, I will totally explain and give my view.
Right.
But it's not a closed idea.
Right.
It's something that I really want to get going, the whole like fluids in your little brain.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But this person was banging on and he was not satisfied with what I was saying. I'm like, dude, I don't know what else to say. And but at the same time, I'm like, well, it's good that he's getting so intense and upset about it.
Yeah,
I guess.
in a way.
But
Sure.
I mean, I don't know. At the same time, it's like I really appreciate, because for me, most of the time, the painting I'm doing, like, it's very specific what I'm trying to do. So if someone comes up to me, I really do appreciate when they took some time to try to figure out what it means, even to them
True.
or whatever. And I appreciate that way more than if someone's like, what does that mean? And I'm like, I don't know.
I
Fuck
know.
off. That's what that means.
I
what do
feel
I-
like when they ask you like that, it's like if someone just grabbed like cold water and threw it in your face.
Yeah.
You're just like, because it is such a, I don't know.
You just want all the, you want this, it's like me telling you the end a movie that has a twist at the end. Like, that's what, like, do you enjoy that? That's what you want. You want the like the ending without even like enjoying the actual thing.
Yeah.
Without even experiencing the art. You just want me to
Right.
tell you the end. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Go look at that shit and then tell me what you think, and then we can have...
Or ask about some little specific details,
Yeah.
or, somehow don't give it so generalized.
Yeah.
Like when you're in college at first years and people are like, so what is art?
Right.
And I'm like, fuck you all. I'm going to have a cappuccino.
Right.
I really,
Yeah.
I did that a lot.
Yeah. Or you just say, like, what is fart?
We go back.
Something uncapturable, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Believe me, I tried.
Believe me, I've been working on it for years.
Yeah.
I know. Those conversations are the worst. Anytime someone tries to ask, what's the meaning of life? You're like, I don't know, man. Leave me alone.
Wait till you have a kid.
I'm still convinced that's the Illuminati. And you're a part of it now, so they're holding.
Mwahaha.
How we doing on time? Oh, we still have hella time.
Yeah.
Should we just sit here and twiddle our thumbs?
And twirl?
Yeah.
I don't know. What you
Wait
wanna
till I say
know?
something.
Do you want to know something funny?
What's that?
So my first job,
Uh-huh.
well, was not getting paid, but my first job when I was in kindergarten, which in Portugal you don't really do kindergarten, you go like straight to like first grade.
Your first job, you were in kindergarten?
Well, I'm joking as a job. It's like job,
Okay.
like,
Okay.
But so first, like at the end they would do the little exam where they ask you like math things and whatever, and make you color the stuff. So the teachers would ask me to do the drawing, and then they would photocopy and put on the exam. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Then, so that was like my first job. And like my second job was actually like second grade. And I was drawing naked women, and I was selling to the boys in the class. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. That was the good times until I was caught.
How much did those cost?
So at that time there was no euro, so I was selling them.
I mean now, like right now, how much do I have to pay you for these drawings?
Oh man, now it would probably be 50 cents. At that time was like $1 maybe.
I'll take 7.
Yeah. And it's always weird because I was always so shy and quiet, but yet I always found myself on this kind of situations.
That's awesome.
It's like it was not me. Someone made me do this.
Right.
So yeah, when you guys asked me to be interviewed, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna tell them about my first job.
Your first job.
After that
You
was
found
selling ice cream in a ferry that was going from from mainland to like a little peninsula, and it's all beach. And in Portugal was a big deal. Like the kids would not like go and have jobs like this.
Right.
Like it was like embarrassing. So anytime that my friends would go to the beach, I would duck underneath the freezer thing.
I hated doing, when you're a kid, things like that are like the most embarrassing.
Oh my
thing.
God.
And you just like, and no one actually cares, but you just care so much.
Yeah.
That's funny. Were you being paid? Like, I
was saving money so I could go to a music festival.
So someone hired you to do that?
It was my friend's mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering because, some
creams.
kids are just like hustlers where they're just like, I go to Costco, buy me a bunch of ice creams, bring them over, sell them.
That's the American way, and I actually love that.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like the lemonade stand.
Yeah, exactly. I had a lemonade stand.
Did you?
Yeah. We didn't do too well. Mostly because it was just a bunch of kids. Like our parents didn't help us with it, so I don't even remember what we put the lemonade on. I'm assuming we grabbed the table, but I don't remember what kind.
It was like the powder little mixture.
No, we made like from real lemon.
Oh wow! You really worked for it.
Yeah, we had a lemon tree, and and then before we knew what raspberry lemonades were, we picked like blackberries that like they always grow wild in California.
Yeah.
So we lived near these railroad tracks where they had all these blackberry bushes. So we had like lemonade, and then we had like blackberry lemonade.
Oh, really?
And then only one thing sold. We also tried to do car washes, and no one went for that. We were trying to make some ice
hustlers.
cream. Yeah, we were trying to make money for the ice cream man.
Awesome.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, it never worked.
Fun times.
Yeah. So we just ended up stealing money from my mom's change drawer.
Yeah, I didn't steal, but it always would show up. It was really weird. Like one of my friends, and this was still like probably 3rd grade or something like that. She loved me so much. She was my best friend, but she would always, I think it was her, but maybe it was me, but she would always come up with these ideas like, do you want money? And I'm like, sure. So she would bring me, at that time it was like $50 or $70 or something, and it was actually, she was stealing her mom's money to pay the cleaner. But then her mom would always come and ask for the money, and I'm like, damn it. And then once she brought me a lot of her toys, and she had all these fancy toys, and I'm like, cool. I'm like, I'll take them. And then her mom would come. She stole from her sister. I'm like, damn it. Always cutting my groove.
Why was she trying to impress you?
We were best friends, but I actually don't know if, like, I always had this idea that I was very shy and quiet. But then I'm like, how did I end up doing naked women when I was like 6, 7 years old and selling to the boys? Like, that's messed up. Like, how did that just come up? And I always think that someone told me to do it.
Right.
But maybe that's a little voice inside of me.
If they ever make like a artist movie about your life, that has to make the movie. It's like how old were you probably at the time? Maybe 7, 6?
So I started school early, like 5. So I think it was like 6, 7, yeah.
So 6.
6 maybe.
They have to have a 6-year-old version of you painting naked, drawing naked girls.
Is that even legal?
Little kids. I mean,
you kind of said being naked. Could I just be dressed, drawing naked?
Wait, did I say 6-year-old being naked?
Yes.
Oh no, not being naked.
Again, no kinder.
Drawing. God, this is horrible. See what happens when you have an interview with a person who has a child? It gets horrible.
MJ, use protection.
Gosh. Well, I was going to make a suicide joke, but that is not acceptable.
But you see, that's why I like this podcast so much, because you guys actually have no filter.
Yeah.
So it feels very
true.
Portuguese.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, in Portugal, you drink beer on the streets, you say fuckers to everyone, and you hug it out, and it's all fine.
Yeah.
Here,
awesome.
like, you need to be on eggshells.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the group you surround yourself with. I feel like for the most part, everyone, like, even our like Wonderland shows, like everyone's pretty like.
Yeah, true.
Like, yeah, you could say whatever you want, kind of. I mean, and if you say something stupid, someone would probably say like, chill, dumbass, or something, you know. If you take it too far. If you start really using Kinder, people, then you're not a part of our group.
Now, when I first moved here, I was really getting crazy in my head of like, what can I do and what can I say?
Right.
Because I was like, is this okay? Like in Portugal, we jaywalk a lot. Jaywalk.
I thought that was a dance.
I know.
Yes.
We jaywalk, and then we do this ritual mating move. No, but we jaywalk a lot, and we just don't care, and it's all fine. And then here, like people are like, you cannot jaywalk, you can get a ticket. And
Really?
I'm like, they told me, and the first year I was here, I was always like, oh, is there a cop? Can I actually run? Oh my God, I want to run. I want to do it. So, yeah.
That's crazy. I always jaywalk. That's all I do.
I know.
When I'm not painting, I'm jaywalking.
The other day at Mina, I came out like with the beer in my hand, and I'm all chill, and I'm like, oh no, where's the cop behind the bush?
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. So do the cops not like, well, you drink out in public? That's awesome.
We drink. So once you guys go visit in Lisbon, there's this awesome area like called Bairro Alto, but it's like this like little tiny streets all like up the hill, and you know, like Portugal is a really old country, like really old, like medieval times.
Right.
So the street, there's actually all these like really large stones.
Right.
Cobblestones.
Instead of being a normal street. And it's full of bars, and we basically go get a drink and come out. So we take the street, so the cars are just waiting there for hours to try to pass. They cannot pass. Like, we just take over.
Jeez.
And it's been there like this for
That's
you know,
awesome.
forever, for 40 years or 50 or more.
Right.
So it's really cool and relaxed like that.
That's awesome. I want to drink in Portuguese.
Portugal. Portuguese. First, you need to learn how to speak Portuguese if you're going to drink in Portuguese.
MJ speaks Spanish, so Portuguese is pretty similar, right?
Yeah, it is close.
So we'll get close enough.
You can start saying cerveja.
Instead of cerveza.
Yeah, cerveja.
Cerveja. Is that close? No.
Cerveja.
Cerveja.
Yeah, you're pretty good at it.
Hell yeah.
Good.
That's all I need to know. That's the one word.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you want to know how to say shit, you can say merda.
Merda.
That's close to
Merda.
Spanish,
It is
too.
mierda.
Yeah.
Merda. Yeah.
Yeah, how do I say food? All I needed to know is
Comida.
comida. So now I can survive.
Yeah, you can survive.
Just food and beer.
Olá, adeus, hello, goodbye, merda, comida. You're fine. You're fine. Cerveja.
I'll be a hit.
Yeah. How do you say, where do I shit?
I think you can just point it and, you know, do body language. Which, funny enough that you brought that, because now in San Francisco with the homeless crisis, there's a lot of shitting in the street.
Yeah.
And it's,
I know. When you're like, oh, why don't people pick up their dog shit? Then you're like, well, it's probably not dog shit.
Yeah, no. The other day in front of my studio, I was disgusted, scared, but at the same time, super impressed. Because it was a human shit, but it was the size of a shit of almost a horse.
Jesus
Like, it was so humongous that I was kind of impressed of whoever created that baby.
At least that homeless is eating good.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
know. I actually was looking at it quite a bit because I'm like, how is this possible even? Like, that was pretty amazing. And then I took pictures and sent it to all my artist mates here
Did
in the
anyone
studio.
expect this podcast to take a turn
I know, right?
for homeless shit?
And it was at 9 a.m. in the morning when I just woke up.
Hell yeah.
Came to the studio.
How many thumbs up did you get back after sending that picture?
It was more like the emojis of the little guy throwing up. Kind of thing.
God, that's like the one thing that will make me throw up.
Yeah.
Like literally. But yeah, I mean, I think we're pretty close to the end. So
I know.
We brought it to the toilet enough.
No, did you feel like you needed more art questions?
No, we barely ever arted up. This is actually, we probably...
Am I really boring?
No, we arted it up probably more than we usually do this one.
Than we have in a while, probably.
So I don't know if people are mad or happy about that, but whatever, they can suck it.
Take it to the Portuguese lady, okay?
Yeah.
She will spank you.
If you're mad, please DM the Waiting to Dry podcast because Josh is barely on that thing.
I have a thick skin about it. So yeah. I'll be like, it wasn't me. You heard how silent I was during the
Which was your average silent, or was your
were you average
talkative silent?
I'll have to go and check the word count.
I feel like you talked more, Sergio.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm really happy.
I'm trying to think which ones are the ones that I have talked a lot. Just the ones that Josh wasn't on.
Just when I'm gone.
Yeah.
No, you talked a good amount. Emilio.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true.
But there was a lot of name dropping of artists then. That's when I go like,
yeah.
Oh, do I have to do that now? Should I just like a 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 boom?
No, please don't. I'm like, look at Sergio. I feel like I've said in I don't know how many podcasts where someone is looking at me and saying like, "Oh, you know that artist?" And I'm like,
yeah. I think it was with Chris Lee last.
Talk to Sergio.
Yeah.
Hey, don't be ashamed.
No, I don't. I'm just like, I have no idea. Talk to Sergio.
You're always learning. Look, I came here and I knew nothing about American artists. So everyone is like, "What about this one? And what about that one? And Doug Aitken and all this." And I'm like, who are those people? And I felt really like ignorant because they were all like, you don't know? I am like, no, but I know the European ones.
I still don't know. I mean, I'm just bad at names, so.
I am too.
So then,
but I always wonder if it's excuse just because I'm not paying attention.
That's my for sure excuse. If I,
yeah.
If I don't know your name, I'm like, I'm bad at names.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm bad at names like where I'll meet someone and then literally like 5 seconds later I'm like, what was their name?
Oh, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
It's impossible to learn everybody's name at an art show, at least for me.
You know, when it like the first year, like 6 years ago when I first met you.
How dare you?
A long time ago. No, it was not your name, but I went to an art show at the... I think it was Gauntlet Gallery or something.
Oh, okay.
And I went by myself, and I kind of felt very kind of like weird because I knew no one. And then I saw this guy that was like tall like you, was big like you, and I thought it was you. And I'm like, hey, because I'm like, yes, one person that I know. And he looks at me like, and his wife is looking at me like, I'm his wife. Who are you? And I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, okay, nice to see you again. I'm like, but when he turned, I was like, no, it's totally not Josh. Ooh,
That's
that was hard.
How dare that person look like me?
I'm also really bad at the art shows when I don't know the people.
Right. Yeah, that's how I am.
People try to talk with me and I'm like,
literally that. Poopity scoop. Poopity poop poop.
I was just gonna say, what does that mean in English, the Portuguese to English translation of that?
Yeah. You should have seen the first time me and Melanie met. She was saying zibbity, and I was like poopity scoop.
And then we started tap dancing.
Friendship was born.
Well, yeah, I think this is coming close to an end.
It's a wrap.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. So if anyone wants to see your artwork, they can find it on social media.
Or MelanieAlves.com.
Or MelanieAlves.com. And we'll link your social media to our social media, so when people are listening, they can find you and check out your stuff. And
please don't start messaging me of good ideas for tourism in Portugal, because I've been getting that a lot.
Oh, really?
No, I'm joking. You can totally do that. I haven't helped.
She already gave it to you guys. There's a cobble road where you get drunk and walk up and get more drunk.
I know.
What more do you need?
Beach, drinks,
octopus salad,
seafood, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And grandma cooking. Yes.
Yeah, her grandma's house. Knock on the door.
Yeah.
My grandma is dead.
Oh.
No, I just wanted to make it awkward. Yeah. She died like long time ago. I didn't meet her. The other one is still alive.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
So not grandma's house. But yeah, this has been
my mother's.
Oh, yeah, her mom's house.
That's right. Getting it all wrong.
Right. Well, this has been Waiting to Dry. if you're still listening, fuck off.
Go get some octopus salad.
Bye.